Well,
Hello, welcome everybody. This is Neil with Portal to Ascension. And how are you all doing today? Welcome to the Disclosure Agenda Show, the weekly Portal to Ascension show that's been going on for 2 months now. Thank you all so much for joining in. And if you're tuning in on the Portal to Ascension podcast, hello there. You can watch the live video on youtube.com/Portal to Ascension. And likewise, everybody on YouTube who wants to check out the Portal to Ascension podcast, you can do that on all the major platforms. And this show is a weekly show, not only just to go over, whatever is relevant topic in the moment, and also just to have a discussion weekly within Portal to Ascension, but also to just for the last 6 weeks at least, is really to be speaking about what's going on in regards to disclosure and UFO disclosure, the whole UAP agenda, and then take it beyond that. And just yesterday, we actually had our UFO UAP disclosure beyond disclosure conference. So today this is a debriefing. We're going to be discussing what we went through and how it was for us, and just going what's next after that. So I'm joined here with my co-hosts, two individuals that have been on the platform quite some time, Alan Steinfeld from New Realities, and we have Omar here from Watchers Talk TV. How you doing, guys?
You're muted, Alan.
oh, sorry. Great conference yesterday. For anyone who wants to know exactly what's unfolding within the disclosure movement, I call it a movement, from beginning to end, every little piece fills you into the complexity of this situation. And right, Omar, what did you think of Richard Doty? That guy blew me away, right? What did you think of him, Omar?
Yesterday's conference was really amazing, and I'm really happy to see that we are beginning to pay attention to the software of the situation instead of the hardware, because up until now, it's just been flying saucers and triangles and cigars and kind of what have you. But we're beginning to understand that it's far deeper than that, that it's really a conscious thing that we're engaged with and that we're interacting with. So I like that everyone yesterday was really superimposed on that aspect of the UFO phenomena that's happening.
Yeah, it was quite a education. But yes. I wanted to know, Omar, what did you think of Richard Doty? Did you hear his testimony?
Yeah, I was there. I watched it. I thought he was all right. The thing that I didn't like was, just the division that was happening within the chat because of his past. But, he really owned up to, his mistakes and really gave us some information that we can walk away with and investigate. So, I was happy with it.
What was happening in the chat? Because I had no time to really look at it. So I was just wondering what were they saying?
Yeah, maybe Neil can talk about that.
Yeah, and maybe you can add to it too. Yeah. So there was Omar actually noticed more I guess back and forth than I did, because I was just chiming in every now and then looking into it. But there was a lot of conflicted people where a lot of individuals were saying, like, Richard is a liar, don't have him on, why have a liar on? So, and there was kind of that narrative, and then there was those saying thank you for like actually having him on and and talking about these things. So it just seemed that just like you said, Alan, that he was a very controversial person, and it really showed up in the chat room. People have all types of views about why we had him on there, but I thought it was extremely important because if he has lied in his past and is coming out now and trying to tell us what is going on, whether he is continuing to lie or not, it doesn't mean that we still shouldn't interrogate him and have a conversation with him to try to use our own discernment around it, right? Like, we don't want to marginalize people that may have an ability to assist us in this movement. Instead, we wanted to communicate with them and have a conversation about it. So I thought the way you took the conversation and how you directed it and the questions you asked were really important questions to, be addressed.
Well, I didn't think he was lying. I think he was actually trying to come clean. I think, he said to me privately that he felt a little bad for the counterintelligence that he was doing when he was working as a counterintelligence. And I think he was sincere. I don't see any reason why he would lie now. He's not working for the government. He's not on their payroll. And
plus he's not at UFO conferences. He's not on the circuit. He's not out there actively attempting to be a spokesperson in order to give this information. Only when he's approached, he seems like he's just a regular citizen at this point. And when he's approached and asked about it, he comments on it.
Yeah, I think he's a simple guy. I mean, when he was working for intelligence, he was probably had to do things that he believed in. You know, that's how militaries work. You do this, you fight for your country, you believe in, and nothing wrong with that, except when, you know, you have to question something. Is this really something I want to do? And there's like no questioning. And
well, what'd you think about when he said the danger thing? Oh, go ahead, Omar. You comment on that first.
Yeah, we also have to understand, like, you know, what Alan's saying, that everyone has a job to do. They did their job, and there's nothing wrong with someone switching camp and realizing their mistake and saying, okay, well, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't actually have to do it. I'm not under orders to do it. So they change their tone. And I think everyone deserves a second chance as well, for them to, you know, repent or whatever the case may be, for because they're really valuable as well. Because look at the information that he gave us yesterday. And, you know, like Neil was saying, if we had marginalized him, then the information that we got from him yesterday, we would have never gotten.
It was pretty amazing info. Like the
yes, I was just going to say that.
Yeah,
I've never heard actually anyone come out and say that. I mean, I suspected it, but what were you asking about the threat? He did say, what was that?
He said it in passing. Okay, just by being a person that's observing, really good at observing the way people communicate. He wasn't saying danger in passing in order to throw it in subliminally. He was just listing off things that like, we need to look in the UFOs because of this. And one of the things he said really quickly in there, just a part of his, like what he believed was that we need to look into them because they could be a danger, right? And that's what Ray Hernandez picked up on immediately when he came in. But I have some other thoughts on that, but I kind of want to just open up to you guys. And what do you really think about, you know, why he said that?
Well, I think there are alien races that are, you know, not very friendly. It depends. I don't think they're a threat in the way, because I think if they wanted to take over the world, they would have taken it over. So I don't think they're a threat that way. But Elizondo, actually, I asked him that question. Maybe I can get to that later on. But I don't know. What were you going to say, Omar?
Yeah, he could have been saying that they're a danger, you know, maybe in reference to them shutting down our nuclear weapons and such, as you know, as they've intervened with that. So, you know, he could have really meant that as in a passing, that they could be a danger towards that, where they could cause something to happen, you know, just accidentally or, you know, nefariously. You know, who knows?
That's the military mindset right there, right? Like he comes from the military. Exactly. So that's just the lingo in which he communicates. So you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt.
And even that is like a little piece of information that really tells you that we're engaged with benevolent and you know, malevolent beings out there, that maybe some do pose danger to us and some don't. So, you know, but it's a piece of information that we got out of him anyways.
No, based on this question, I want to play what Luis Elizondo. Yeah. Except tell us what you said, what you thought, right, Neil? About.
Okay, so I just want to say that somebody else mentioned in the chat room a little later that they said that basically about Ray and what he said, that Ray wasn't listening to the whole thing that Richard said, because Richard had actually spoke earlier about the benevolent ET races, but when he said the danger, the narrative went to, oh my God, he must be saying they're all a danger. So. It looked like, if you really take the whole context of everything he was saying that from his experiences and from his testimony of people that are currently still work in the military, that there are both types of races and some of them may be a danger. But that's also his belief based on his background, not his awareness that they are actually a danger. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're seeing them stopping and scrambling your nuclear codes, you're going to think it's a danger. But what if their intention is just to make sure we don't kill ourselves?
That's right. We're the danger, like I said. I just want
activating to just protect themselves while they're
and protect us from ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to play this little clip from my question, similar theme with Luis Elizondo. And do you want to tell people who Luis Elizondo is? Because he is at the center of the disclosure movement.
Yeah, so he's basically the figurehead. If you watch anything mainstream in regards to UFOs in the last couple of years, you've probably seen him. And he was the head of the ATIP program that was responsible for, documenting different types of sightings and researching them. And I guess there was 144 sightings that has been declassified that they were involved in. And Alan had the opportunity to interview him on Clubhouse. So is that what we're going to hear right here?
Yeah,
right
we're
now?
going to hear a little clip where I ask him something like that because let's hear what I'm not sure where we are in the video here.
Find people's idle
Can
curiosity.
you hear that?
This is a conversation
Yes.
that includes national security. This conversation that includes perhaps one of the greatest enigmas that our species has faced since we crawled out of the cave.
Right. You told Danny Sheehan, I mean, he reported this, that he asked you, is this really a threat? And you said something like the higher ups don't consider this a threat. So are we going to downplay this threat idea and go for more curiosity and exploration?
The bottom line, if anything can interfere with our nuclear capabilities, for some people that's a potential threat. Whether you agree with it or not, or I agree with it, is really rather immaterial, because from a national security perspective, that is very much a potential threat. Now, let me state this for the record. There's a difference between a potential threat and hostile intentions. Okay, so when I go to the airport and I board an airplane, there's no real threat there. When I go to the airport and if I were to run on the tarmac to that same jet plane that I was boarding earlier, and I stand behind the jet engine, chances are there are some consequences that I have to deal with, right? I may lose my hearing.
Right.
I may get burned by the jet engine, right? There's a lot of things that aren't necessarily intended to be a direct threat, but are indeed a threat. So this is why we need to look at this topic, and without trying to interject any type of preconceived narrative. I don't think that's helpful. I think what we need to do is let the facts and the data speak for itself. And if we can do that, then we're going to get a little bit one step closer maybe to determining if this really is a threat or not.
Joe, did you have anyway? I don't know if he really answers that. What did you think of that, Andy? He kind of gets off the topic. I didn't get the whole thing about being on the tarmac, and that was kind of silly.
Omar, let's get your feedback first. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it sounds like a lot of malarkey.
Yeah.
Personally, because what he's saying, with the tarmac thing, is that he can stand there, and if the engine turns on, then he'll get burned or pushed away. And it's trying to relate that to a UFO. That because a UFO is there, it's potentially a threat, even if it's not. What it sounds like to me is that they're trying to scare the public and just trying to collect money on that threat, so they can be funded and continue to fund whatever programs that they have going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they are a threat, actually. This is what Danny Sheehan was trying to change the language because he's Elizondo's lawyer. What are you saying, Neil?
I think there was golden nuggets in that interview, more so than you may even realize. And part of that was he basically is saying there that there's two different things. There's a threat, a possible threat, which is so much is looked up. Even foreign nations that aren't doing anything to the U.S. are still looked at as a potential threat, in some ways. But then he's saying hostile intent. So there's no evidence to suggest hostile intent, but it's a threat because they're messing with what we use in order to keep ourselves protected. So he's basically saying there that, hey, that's their background, that's their upbringing, that's what they've been educated in, military warfare, protection, security, that they're coming from that state of mind when they're communicating about this. But they need to be clearer, I think, in regards to what's going on. Because when people say threat, I think the public automatically thinks that there's a potential threat on their lives and there's a potential threat, that actual real tangible threat. If you're saying a threat, if it's not a real tangible threat, why even say it? And if the evidence suggests, like, I think a couple of years ago, Elizondo came out with this, or somebody else within these programs, that said there is no evidence. One of the mainstream articles in all these years of the mainstream, being about this now, literally said there is no evidence to suggest that they have any ill intent. There is no suggestion of a threat. So, and we've been on that talk for some time now. The reason why we continue talking about it is because a lot of people are waking up to this in this moment. And if you start by learning and thinking that there's a potential threat, and that's the foundation of your awakening to the UFO subject, that's not really, maybe not a good place to begin.
Well, I have to say they're coming from a military background where that's their focus, threat, danger. It's like that's sort of their way of thinking about everything. If you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're a military, everything looks like a threat. If you're a defense, so that's a sort of prejudice.
Yeah. So what does he?
Let me just add this. When you look at it from another perception and from a record, as he was saying, right? I don't remember any time where aliens have attacked us, but there has been countless times where humans have attacked the aliens. Like, for instance, that famous incident in LA in 1982, where they opened up the artillery on the UFO. So if anyone's a threat, it would be the humans. From record speaking, right? Because he's talking about records, and that's just to add that there's one on the humans and none on the visitors.
Yeah,
is that the one? Because there was a case where the U.S. basically started sending missiles or was shooting at a UFO, and then the UFO came back down. It coalesced into this ball of light, and then it started actually retaliating, firing back at the people that are firing on.
The one I'm talking about, this one went around behind a mountain or something, and then from there it disappeared. It was happened like I don't know, like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or it could be actually in the morning, because they had floodlights pointed up at this UFO, and they sent planes after it, and they think that they damaged it. But nothing really came out of it from what we understand. But again, there's that attack from us towards them. So this guy should be he should do his homework when he starts talking about threats and who poses more of a danger than anything.
We project ourselves onto everything external to us, So like we see what we do on this earth, we assume others will do to us. When it comes to the ETs.
Right. And we have no idea what ETs are like. I want to play one other clip, Neil, from this interview with Elizondo, because I think it speaks directly to the situation we are in. I sort of said to him before this, well, you've said they're not Russians, they're not Chinese, they're not ours. Well, what are they? I think you've said they're not from any country on this earth, but you have not use that word everyone's waiting for. Is there a time the word is aliens when you might
love this question
suggest that these things might be off-world vehicles?
Well, look, the problem is with the definition. My concern is that I think we as a society have gotten a little bit lazy. And I think when we use terms like alien or extraterrestrial, the problem with doing so is that it narrows the scope of the inquiry. And what do I mean by that? Well, as I've said before, could these things be from outer space? Yes, absolutely. But I've also said before, these could be from inner space and frankly, the space in between. The more we learn about quantum physics, the more we realize that the universe is far more complex than we ever thought. And to put that, case in point, a lot of psychologists right now believe we are what we call cardiosocial animals. And that is because the first 9 months of our life we spend in our mother's womb.
Well, I have to say, he gets off it. I can't listen to. He says something, it takes it in another direction. The question after listening to this and editing this video, I should have said, come out, there are non-humans here. Can you acknowledge that? And if I say the word aliens, they'll say, well, it may not be aliens, they'll be interdimensional. But the basic question, would you state publicly that there are non-humans, as we know humans to be, flying these vehicles? That is the bottom line that he has never directly come out and said.
Yeah.
And he just talks around it. Yeah.
Every answer he gave was as profound as if it was extraterrestrials.
Right.
So why don't we just say it's something so profoundly interdimensional, which changes everything that we even know about what we exist on Earth. Yes. And humans being lazy? No, not enough people are versed in quantum physics enough to know about the space in between, you know? And extraterrestrials is a catch-all phrase. It's just everything that's not terrestrial human in the way that we are right now. So he should
if they're
actually
interdimensional, well, I'm saying, are they humans as we know humans? If you're saying they're interdimensional, then they're not humans as we know humans to be. It's so let's get a straight answer and
it's
just
a great
say,
question.
Well, he didn't answer it though.
But actually, everything I heard. Go ahead, Omar.
Yeah, he'll never answer it.
Well,
right? Like, you know, as the answer that we're looking for, no way. You know, maybe, hopefully I'm wrong, but from what it looks like, you know, I don't think he's ever going to answer that question, because if he did, that would just open up a box that they're just not willing to be confronted.
But he said everything else. He said, I don't think they're
there's interdimensionals.
And he's also said in one, I think it was a New York Post article, what we thought were monsters may be our neighbors. He has said that. And so he's come so close to saying, yes, these are non-human, but he's not willing to go, because I think you're right. That opens up a whole other category of possibilities. So
I'm sure there's things that he can't say, and it's probably like that final thing of what it is needs to probably be said by some person of authority.
Right.
They have the green card on it. A great example is Tom DeLonge, when he came out on his Twitter with ex-NSA members, Lou Elizondo, and all these people behind him, and he did that live stream, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. When he did that, and they were talking about the craft, and it was like the first major disclosure thing, like and that the guy came out, I forget his name, but he talked about the U.S. Navy ship and how that that UFO was above it and then shot up really high and all that stuff that happened. So when they were doing that, they said everything but the word alien.
I know
every single thing they said related and connected to something other than what we know as regular humans.
Right. Look at this quote directly from Elizondo to the New York Post. I think this is Stephen Greenstreet. Maybe we're going to realize that what we thought were monsters are really just our neighbors. It doesn't get any more extraterrestrial than that statement, right?
Yeah. So is he dripping some stuff? Because
I think you're right. I think it's between the lines there. It's like he's not going to tell you directly, but if you can read between the lines, it's like, oh,
if we go back,
what's that, Omar?
Yeah, if we go back and collect everything that he said and connect those dots, then those dots will answer that question for us.
Yeah.
I think that's how it's happening.
And I think
we have to approach it that way as well, instead of just saying, okay, whether it's a yes or no question. To us it is, right? But for him, it's like, quite complex, and especially the responsibilities that come with that as well, right? He's probably got a gag order and things like that. And so maybe we do have to approach it from a different angle instead of a direct.
I think that's a really good point. If you ask him a direct question, he'll give you an indirect answer. But if you ask him an indirect question, maybe he'll give you a direct answer.
You got to do reverse psychology on the guy.
I don't know, but I think there's more he's going to reveal. There was this other interview he did where he talked about a 23-minute high definition tape. I think Jimmy Church just had him on. Have you heard the Jimmy Church show last night? I didn't hear it either. Actually, I want to hear that show. So anyway, and I should go soon, but what else do you want?
I have a question, a theoretical question that we can kind of talk about real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Richard Branson just went and did his first Citizens Virgin Galactic day before yesterday, right? And Jeff Bezos is going on the 20th, and Elon Musk is soon after that, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at the COVID relief bill, UFO disclosure, a lot of UFO movement during COVID. Now we're in this moment here where there's all the space stuff happening. Finally, we got the first public citizen craft going into space, taking citizens, even though technically it could be argued Richard Branson isn't really a citizen, right?
Right.
But they're taking citizens now, and now this is beginning. I feel there are milestones and markers in our consciousness and us just breaking out of the atmosphere of our planet that kind of send out signals into the universe. Even though I do believe that there could be technology where we're way more advanced than this rocket fuel going out into space, and that we may have visited Mars before, who knows. But at the same time, on the linear aspect, it looks like linearly they're showing us now we're able to do this. Now we're able to go out into space and people can see it. Space, I feel, has like almost every astronaut has saw something up there.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've now hit certain markers, and the next marker is that it's inevitable that there's going to be publicly accepted people going out into space. What do you guys think about this? There's so much space stuff happening at the same time, coupled with this UFO thing. I think that we're at a milestone in regards to sending out a signal to the universe that we're ready for the next level of contact. And I think that this what is all this has got to do with. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that is a really interesting observation. So you have Jeff Bezos, you have Richard Branson going into space the same time that the government, the Pentagon, is saying, well, there's things in space, and now everyone's looking at space. Of course, don't forget my book. Hate to be so promotional, but
no, it's a great book. Definitely should check it out.
It's a great book. Let me see if I can pull it up. But anyway, it's not a coincidence that we're focused on this bigger picture, and it's the whole realms from the smallest, from like kindergarten to 12th grade. It's like people saying, "What? There's UFOs? Oh, we're going to space." To like people inside, like Dodie saying, "Well, they've talked to aliens. They've made treaties with aliens." So it is a shift in consciousness on whatever level of consciousness you're at, but this shift is happening. I think that's a great observation, Neil.
Yeah.
What do you think, Omar?
I myself think it's pretty cool. And when I saw it yesterday and I saw the price tag on it of $250,000, I was like, wow, that's pretty expensive. So it's really, meant for the rich, not even the super rich.
No, yeah.
Then I thought about the iPhone, because when the iPhone first came out, it was like $2,500, $1,100, things like that. But now you can go and buy an iPhone for like $200. So I think over the course of probably the next 10 years, I think all of us will have the opportunity to go up in space and experience the same thing with these guys did. And I think from that angle, when people are up there, and they're probably more than likely will build hotels and such and colonize the moon, then there'll be bus fare going between the moon and the earth. And when people are going in between and traveling and they're seeing things out in space as the astronauts have, I think those stories, when we're bringing them back, will really be the true disclosure, because then even people who don't believe that have seen things out there will come back, and then they'll tell their friends, and then really the ripple effect will begin. And maybe this is the way we're going to find out the ET exists. Maybe that way they'll make contact, because maybe they've got a prime directive on us where they've got to gag themselves on us. But if everyone knows about them, then maybe they'll reveal themselves and say, okay, well, here we are. Maybe you should land on the moon, right? At one of our colonies.
Yeah, but we're getting so close. Grant Cameron, I loved him yesterday. He's so excited, and he's such a great communicator. It's like he says, we just have to keep moving the football down the field, and I think we're really close to the goal line, except they keep moving the goal line, the goalpost. But I think we're in really exciting times, and I think we are closer than ever. And I think, to your point, Neil, there is a mindset change that space, citizens going to space, we're not talking about astronauts, somehow whatever's out there has just become more accessible, and it is a whole shift in thinking that is filtering into public awareness.
I feel like we're in a sci-fi movie, and we're at the beginning phases of, like in the beginning, before they fast forward to the future, they show when humans finally first make it out into space, the first satellite, the first spacecraft going to space. And then all of a sudden we're there hanging out, and there's like a group of people there, and then some UFO pops up and goes, hey, you're here now. I feel like it's so interesting, because we feel like we're so advanced, but we're also right at the beginning of a new world that we have the potential to be a part of. And if you believe in like a galactic community being out there that are literally waiting for us, what is the next step? And I think that these steps that we're taking, the fact that we're leaving the atmosphere, it's more accessible now. It's almost like the fact that, there's a monolith on the moon of Mars, on Phobos. And to me, that monolith is like almost like when we get to that stage, it sends out one signal to the universe that they have reached this level of consciousness. I think the next monolith is us going and having space being more accessible is going to have to lead to inevitable disclosures. And let me just add one more thing to that. China, India, US, all going to Mars right now. And then within a few years is the first manned mission to Mars. You know, it's already accepted by the mainstream that Mars used to be a planet was probably inhabited, right?
Yeah.
So what are the things that we're going to start discovering and are going to come out pretty soon?
This is great. This is why we have to keep the dialogue going. We need to be like the conscious of the public, you know, and of course other people can jump in too. It's not just us, it's everyone is part of this conversation. That's why I wrote this book. That's why I'm promoting it for the guy who said, why don't you just tell people you're promoting the book? And I'm promoting it because I think we need to understand the bigger picture. And that's why we're doing these conferences. And I should go, Neil, because some people are waiting, but great to see you, Omar. Thank you for all your entire, and I tell people also, I'm going to get off by what you're, and I'd love to be part of your upcoming festival in August.
Yeah, we got that all worked out.
Okay.
Absolutely, you're a part of it, and
good.
we're gonna make this happen.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay, Neil, be in touch, and
All right, brother.
Thanks for everything. Thanks for including me.
Thank you, man. Talk soon.
Okay, thanks everyone online.
So Omar, since this is the great opportunity to transition into speaking about your event.
Yeah, brother, got a with Full Spectrum Universe, my homie Rob. We've put together a 55 speaker disclosure event. It's a total disclosure, meaning that it's beyond UFOs and flying saucers and aliens. That is just an aspect of the total disclosure. So we've assembled all these people, all these great researchers from across the world, some doctors and some authors and documentary makers and deep researchers and you know, some really wonderful people, and brought them together to you know, give us some downloads from August 5 to the 10th. And we're just going to bring them on hour after hour and take a break in between, listen to some conscious music and meditate a little bit and allow that information to settle in, and then do that for like 5 straight days, and then hopefully walk away with, you know, some profound information which we can use in our day-to-day lives, because that's really the intention here for me, is to bring information that people can use in their day-to-day lives. Like, sure, aliens are really cool and stuff, right? And UFOs are awesome, and they've got lots of tech that could probably help us, and maybe we have some, maybe we don't, right? Really, it's not really all that important when I got rent to pay on the 1st, right? And then my kid,
how do we make it more practical?
That's right. So, you know, for me, that's, you know, it's a dream, but, you know, eventually maybe my kids will have that dream come true. But for me, I want to know more about, you know, how can I communicate with my cat? You know, how is that tree over there? How can its roots help me, or its bark, or you know, holistic medicines, things like that, right? For me, it's more important. I want to know where I came from, and what my humanity represents, and how old we are, and what have we achieved in the past, and you know, things like that that are, you know, important for me, that I can bring that awareness for myself. So that's really the intention.
Beautiful. So let's talk about, I want to talk about what disclosure is to you. I think that'll be a good conversation right now. But let me just say that to everybody, you know, who's joining us, who has been on this show for the whole time at least, if you did not attend the UFO/UAP disclosure conference, subtitled Beyond UFOs, it is on our YouTube right now, youtube.com/portal to ascension. It's just go up there, watch the video. We went for a full 9 hours yesterday. A lot of diverse information, from government UFOs to consciousness to experiencers, testimonies, future implications of this whole phenomena. So go ahead and check it out. But what we're going to be doing now is I'm going to help co-host and this event with Full Spectrum and with Watchers Talk. That is the Total Disclosure Conference. And when it comes to the word disclosure, Omar and I think, have a pretty similar belief system in regards to it, that it's not just, we don't need to just disclose the existence of extraterrestrial, interdimensionals, other realms, blah, blah, blah. It's the disclosure of who we are as humanity, our ancient origins, how we can be empowered, the spirituality, vibration and frequency, all these hidden truths, hidden and some hidden in plain sight, some that are there that we're not implementing, some things that we need to be taught a little more and get some education on, so that we can really cultivate an empowering experience for ourselves and others on this planet. So when we're talking about total disclosure, I just need to reiterate everything that Omar said, because it's a 55-person event in 5 days, 555, from August 5th, right? We got another 5 right there, to August 10th, right? Am I right with all this info so far?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And it's going to be on, we're going to embed it on the Portal to Ascension site. Are we also going live on our YouTube?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're going to go live on Watchers Talk, Portal to Ascension, Full Spectrum Universe, New Realities.
So it's going to be like an amazing event and extremely empowering. And if you've been in any of our past 4 or 5 day Portal to Ascension events and you've seen the kind of energy that we cultivate there, not only do you get unlimited replay access and can view it back anytime you want, but it's just like being a part of this group. And I know you're going to have some meditations as well. So we have the opportunity, hopefully, to have thousands of people connected at the same time so that we can all meditate on, like, the same intent, right?
Yeah, exactly, and also see if we can send that love out into the world, and change the Schumann resonance for the time that we are interacting and sharing our energies together from across the world. I think it's a really good opportunity. Not only that, but for self-healing as well, because if someone comes that has ailments, then they can put it out there in the chat that, hey, I'm not feeling well. Then from people from around the world can direct their energy. It could be like a virtual Reiki session that you'll get. So, things like that. I think it's a really good opportunity to learn and to become a believer as well, because, sometimes people say that I want to believe, but, their concrete mind, the programmed mind tells them that they need proof. Right. So, it's a great opportunity to engage people and to try to get that proof that you're looking for through global meditations and, astral traveling and remote viewing and things like that. Because those are the kinds of things that we talk about anyways, because we understand that everything is based on consciousness. Everything is based on consciousness, and everything else, the observable world, it's all in here. It's just in the mind.
It's pretty, I would like to make this, just share this piece of information here actually, is that, for some people, all they need is belief, and that's great. You believe it and you have this faith component in your life where you can really accept and own something as reality because of your belief. But to many people, if not the majority of people, because, logic and rationale is such a huge component in today's linear society, that people need sometimes concrete evidence before they find truth. The reason why there's so much atheism in the world and people leaving the churches and religions is because they're looking at it and they're seeing, rationally looking at this stuff, it doesn't make sense. But the reason why they find spirituality soon after that is because their rational mind takes them into this realm of vibration and sound and frequency and consciousness that makes more sense. And you can even begin to quantify now through science, right? So it's important to note that it's not just one thing or the other. Like, okay, we already know all this stuff, we don't need to know this anymore. Well, there's millions of people out there that don't know this stuff that do need it. So these events that we create, we attempt to embrace both realities, right? Where we have information for those who already really believe in it and are ready to accept it, but then also facts and linear mentalities and understanding of the science behind things, so that more and more people can appease what I like to say, appease the linear mind, right?
Yeah.
By giving them the facts that they need to know it's a reality. And then after you've appeased the linear mind with some facts, people are more open to the truth. And when they are more open to the truth because they've heard these facts, the frequency of that truth has more of an ability to affect you in a positive way.
Yeah, it opens you up a little bit more. Our consciousness, I find, is unlocked in steps. And the first step is the most difficult because of the programming of the mind for all those years and decades. But once that one time, that one thought, that one piece of truth that you get that opens you up, I think what happens at that time is that it really, it raises your self-awareness and your consciousness, and then it drives you to seek for more answers. And then in steps, your consciousness is unlocked, and I think that's how really it works. And a lot of the events that I create is geared towards that mentality as well, right? Because my idea is to bring one piece of truth from one speaker, and then through an event of however many people, then that's how many pieces of truth that I walk away from that, and and then from that truth, my awareness is increased because now I understand myself and my environment, even much more clearer than I did previous to that. So, and then that there raises my consciousness, and then I want to know more. And it's a big game. It's a big game. It's an avatar that we have, and it's kind of like that video game that Mark Sims was showing us yesterday of his auditorium. And that guy,
isn't it interesting? His last name is Sims, and that was a Sim world.
That's pretty cool. Should have told him that yesterday.
I just thought of it right now, actually. That's funny. So, okay, Omar, why don't you, for whoever's on watching this live, if you could share your screen and show the event page and who's on it, and whoever's on the podcast listening to the audio, maybe you can just go over a few of the people you're not most excited, but some of the information you're excited to, go into during this total disclosure event.
Yeah, here I'll pull up the list, and meanwhile I'll show you the poster that was created for this that just came at me just not that long ago. That's the poster that we're going to be using. I'll be putting up the registration link probably in the next day or so, and then we can begin taking registrations. Let's see if I can pull up my document.
It's so exciting how much of this information and content is out there now, and how many events are happening. It's just non-stop stream of awareness.
Yeah, I hear you. It's nice to see. This would have been unthinkable in 5 years ago. 10 years ago, it would have been just totally unthinkable. And really, and again, at the end of the day, you're like a pioneer of this, Neil. And I've said this again and again and again, even though I've been around for a few years, but you've been around, a lot longer than I have been. And the events that you've created, and the way that you started and created these webinars and these conferences, and day conferences, and then weekend conferences, and in person, and then mega ones like 50 speakers, 60 speakers. It's really motivated me, and and encouraged me to do the same. So you're like a mentor to me, because you're an innovator in this, and I really enjoy what you do. And and I want to be a part of that. So that's so I continue to do it. But I have to say, brother, you're you're an innovator of of this industry. What you're doing today, what we're doing today, you were doing long before the rest of us were doing. We weren't even thinking about this kind of stuff at that time. Here's my list of speakers. Let's share that.
And I get excited when others do it, because it's all about collaboration, not competition. Because why I'm doing this isn't to be the only one doing it. I'm doing it in order for more people to do this, so that we can create a world that I know is possible. And that world is a world of universal peace, happiness, love, disclosure, transparency. That's all possible, but we need to do the inner work to get there.
Yeah, there's no room for expansion or going against each other, competition, things like that. We're beyond that. Our conscious, that's lower brain thinking, in my opinion. And we are we've made ourselves public figures and role models, and and it's through our cooperation that others will see, and hopefully they'll cooperate amongst themselves. So it's really it's a responsibility that we really have. Do you see my list here?
Okay. Yes, I see it. Let's go over maybe and show us 4 or 5 of them. Tell us.
Yeah, I'll do George Mitrovic. That guy's awesome. He's going to do a lecture. He's a author of 70 books of space and ancient things. And then we got Brad Olson coming on, and then we have Geraldine Orozco coming on, and then we have John Shaughnessy, Dr. Joan of Angels, Jason Martell. Really looking forward to that. Dr.
The Hertex.
Yeah, the Hertex, Dr. JJ Hertex and Desiree Hertex coming. Who else? Dr. Rita Louise, Ralph Ellis, Scotty
Mary
Roberts, Joel Ayala Apanya, Roger Spur, what's his name? Patrick Giles, Bibu Dev Misra, Jeremiah Fountain, Alan Steinfeld, Michael Cremo, Philip Kinsla, Mark Florentino, Richard Patterson, Patricia Awan, Dr. Sam Osmanovic, Laurie Love, JJ Ainsworth, Chris Blackmore, Stephen and Evan Strong, just a lot of wonderful researchers, and also Dr. Lesson and Janet Lesson. They're wonderful. I love having them on. Their energy is just
good energy.
Yeah, for sure. Like Stephen Cummins, Leah Capitelli. It's really divided in Neil, in the point of like showing every aspect. Like we're covering UFOs on one day, and then we're covering ancient history, and then we're covering contactees and experiencers, and then holistic medicine and animal communication and the paranormal and space and zoology, because all of these things are really, they're connected in the greater web, and we need to understand what they are. Because we're interacting with it, right? So for me, I want to know what I'm surrounded by, and that really piques my interest. So this list really has a full spectrum of speakers coming in.
Exactly. It's gonna be extremely exciting. So just to let everyone know one more time, August 5th to the 10th, if you're on YouTube, which you are, because that's the only place where you're going live right now, go ahead and subscribe, because this is actually where it's going to be. If you're not on YouTube, youtube.com/portal to ascension. Also, Omar is going to be launching an event page, so he'll probably be back in a week or two. And go ahead and let you guys know where you can sign up for it. But again, it's a free event, 5 days, 55 speakers, much content. And it's just continuing this flow, because what we can really do in order to really assist in the shift in consciousness and disclosure and all the stuff that's going on is continue making more content that is talking about this information, right? The more content we put out there, the more people are going to pick up on it, and the more empowering things we're going to do. So that's just one out of many events that are doing that. But this one, 5 full days, like it's just the energy and the experience is almost like being at a transformational retreat,
Yeah, that's, it always is, after one day, like yesterday's event, for instance, the UFO disclosure event, even after that, the energy from that, you really vibrate off of it for a few hours afterwards. And then for like these multi-day ones, you bring in the energy from the previous day, and then it just builds on that. And the next day is even more energetic, and speakers pick up on it, and they're more vibrant and energetic and more involved. And and my favorite part, I would have to say, out of the event, the entire event, is usually the discussion that's happening in the chat rooms, because I think there's more information and more truth bombs being dropped in the chat room than there is actually from the speaker. The speaker just happens to be the quarterback of
the catalyst,
the conversation. Yeah, exactly. And then you got this links being dropped, and experiencers telling you things, and it's just amazing. So for me, that's the best part about all the events for me.
Right. So Ray Hernandez, right, the experiencer, did the survey on the academic research study on people that have contacting and abduction experiences. All right. He was our second speaker. If you don't know who I'm talking about, go to our YouTube, watch it. And he got 50 emails from people from our events, all interested in his research. Right. So we had hundreds of people. I think at one point we had on all the channels, maybe up to 500 people watching live. But to have 50 people from that email a speaker about some data, normally it takes a few thousand to get one person, to get 50 people out of those few thousand to email one person. So the fact that we had that many people, and that many people actually emailed him, went to show how hardcore dedicated probably most of the people were that were on this event, and how much how passionate they were about this information. And another, testament to that whole reality is that we only started promoting our UFO UAP disclosure conference 4 days before we went live with it. And we had 900 signups within 24 hours, right? So it's the energy right now, and people seem to be very passionate. And because of that, and because we've seen how passionate people are and they're ready to do it, we're going to do more and more of this. Right,
Yeah,
Omar?
people are they're hungry, and I think what's happened over the course of last year and a half has really opened up people's eyes, and they're branching out now, and they're beginning to see the light. And to me, another thing of that 50 emails is really a testament to the fact that people are opening up and they want to know more. And there's that's another aspect of all those emails, and could be that you have researchers that are going to get that information, and then they're going to spread the seed, and then that's going to have a ripple. And it's really for me, it's like really opening up, and people are really, you can visually see it. Like if you look at it, you can actually see people waking up. You can see all these lights just popping on everywhere, and it's nice to see, and it's a validation as well, right? Because to the Hopi, because when we look at everything that's happening right now, the Hopi said that there's going to come a time where there's going to be a fork in the road, and that fork in the road, I think we've just approached it, and a lot of people are taking the route that is going to be consciously good for humanity, and because people by nature are good. Right? Don't let people, make you believe that they hate people and people are no good, and they're parasites and blah blah blah. No, absolutely not. Every person, they just want love, and every person is love, and I think if people are given the choice to either choose love or abuse, I think people will choose love. And I think we're heading in that direction now, where we're beginning to see a lot of love too, on social media and at conferences and events and such that we do.
Right. You know why I think humanity inherently is just like so beautiful, and not only that, just like there's hope and there isn't as much darkness as we may see, is because of one thing, is what you just mentioned, is that almost everybody, if not everyone, just wants love and to be loved, right? And a lot of times when people act negatively or angrily or seem to be evil, it normally happens because of their lack of love or nurturing at an early age. So a lot of this, like this hardship, this struggle, this like negative energy we see is only an absence and a lack of nurturing and love. So if we all were able to grow up in a world where we had that as an understanding from society and the world, that's what's needed, so that we made sure we created institutions, we created systems in order to cultivate that, we would more likely be in a world where people have this love at an early age and feel supported for their life, and so that they can be the best version of themselves when they get older. So it seems like the solutions are very easy, but just implementing it when you have so many different people and so many diverse opinions and perspectives and religions and divisions, that's where the challenge comes in. So one thing is we all want love, and a lot of the people that are doing negative things, even military, even people that are anti other governments and all that stuff, a lot of them inherently think they're doing the right thing. Not too many of them are like, yes, I'm out there like just because I hate these people. They literally, even if it's religious oriented, they literally think that they are doing the right thing based on their love for their God. So even the evil that we see in the world is a manifestation of people thinking they're doing something good or thinking that they're giving love to some sort of external power, right? So we just need to direct our energy a little more efficiently and come together and really have these conversations about, why we're giving up our energy, what kind of traumas make it that we need to put our energy into some external reality and then fight our brother in order to protect someone we can't even see,
Yeah, I was going to mention, with the love, the barrier that I think is in front of everyone is money and religion. Religion. If you're the same religion, all is well. But God forbid you're a different religion, then you're on the chopping block, and it seems that love is out the window. And same thing with money. It seems, because you may know, people that know me, I'm really interested in serial killers and such. And the thing that I've noticed is that all of them never had love in their childhood. They were abused by their parent or their caregiver or whatever the case may be. So, they became really cold and unempathetic. But the problem is that the money creates that barrier because people are so programmed to be in pursuit of economic gain and that they forget about everything else, and that seems to become their sole focus in life, or tunnel vision, where they block out their family, their children, their wives, their husbands, whatever the case may be, and money becomes the most important thing. So I think if somehow, like in the Star Trek world, if we can somehow just get rid of money, then I think that barrier to love would be, would disappear. And I find that I think a lot of people then would have time to spend time with their families and with their friends and with their neighbors and begin to respect and love them. And that's how it would really, spread forward. But, that I still think, man, is that money is the absolute biggest barrier. And when it comes to, when it comes to love, because people seem to have love for the money and not for the fellow man.
Well, society has been created in a way to make it that money, money can be, I feel like we are going to, in an evolved society and evolved consciousness, evolved society, money probably will not exist.
No, I don't think so.
Get to that phase, and it might be a transition to get there in some time. But while we're getting to that place, we need to figure out, we need to make sure that money isn't our first priority. And part of that is maybe having some basic needs met, right? So that we don't have to worry so much. And then secondly, it would be that instead of corporations, basically, like, if you take economics 101 and they talk about capitalist corporations, what's the bottom line of every single corporation? It's the shareholder, rather, whether it's publicly shared or if it's the individuals that own it. And what does the shareholder want? Bottom line, which is money. So the reason why, like this, people that talk about conscious capitalism and then how capitalism is bad. Some people say we shouldn't have capitalism at all. But the reason why capitalism went in down the route that has created some sort of negativity, is because it became the number one thing that capitalism is responsible for cultivating is more money. And if you're doing that, you're not considering the earth, you're not considering humans. So after 100 plus years of this evolution, when we maybe were a little more conscious about our surroundings at that point, now it's just become, how can we be the most efficient and cut the most corners in order to get the most money, right? So it's not looking at how we can utilize. So for example, the GDP in a country near India, I forget what it's called. It's like the happiest country in the world. Starts with a B, I think. But their GDP is based on gross domestic happiness, right?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And their gross domestic happiness is based on certain principles of how they measure the society is doing, right? And if we had money, like you can right now, maybe money, people need to get money in order to be able to cultivate and grow the business bigger. But if we had, you need to equally be taking care of the earth and people, and those are the two things that you're judged on based on your success in the world and business, I feel that would be the first steps needed to eventually get to a world where we don't even need the money, because we live in this lack mentality, right? But you and I both know that we live in an abundant universe and everything is energy. And now we're figuring out how to manifest energy from nothing into something, right? Mm-hmm. So what's next after that? Are we able to make food out of thin air using quantum technology like Star Trek, right? Yeah. So we're at this precipice of this reality that we can embrace. And part of that is going to be the eventual, I feel, transitioning out of money when we realize we have more than enough.
Yeah, and I think also another really great example of us transitioning towards, a cashless society is that we have robots, we have drones, we have factories that can operate on their own. We have machines that can mine, we have boats that can fish, and we have printers that can, print houses. So I think, we're coming to a point now where people won't be needed to go and do these minuscule jobs and that it'll be taken over by like robotic functions. And I think that'll give the world an opportunity, because at the same time, the production is still going to continue to happen. We're still going to get macaroni and cheese coming off the the old server conveyor belt. We're still going to get our potato chips. But people that were making them, they're going to have a lot more time on their hand, and I think that's going to create a a happier person. But that person needs to have a cause, right? So I like that gross domestic happiness. I think we should implement that everywhere. But we're on our way there, man. We have drones that can work the farms. We have machines that can plow the fields on their own. Just one person needs to sit there and compute it in and program into that, even into the AI. So we're almost there. There's I think we're coming to a point now where we've realized that because 99% of the world's wealth is in the hands of like the 1%, people are not sitting well with that. And because they're not sitting well with that, I think over the course of just the next few years, once these taxes begin to go up from all these relief funding that we've had, right? Once those taxes start to go up and people are going to see their income go down because of taxes, I think that's when they're all going to rise up and they're going to say, hey, wait a minute, we have the absolute trillionaires on this planet, and they could cover these debts no problem. So why is it that we have to pay? And then when that eye-opening aha moment happens, then I think we're going to go in a different direction altogether.
A lot of times it's just numbers in a system, just like we owe France this much, like the deficit we have after how the US I'm talking about, out of how much is given by the US government to all these other countries, yet we're always in debt. Even if you start looking into the reasons why we're in debt and how being in a deficit is actually beneficial for the US economy, right? If you look into all these things, why is that? Well, because it just perpetuates the lack mentality, creates income inequality, helps the poor people stay poor so that they could be the workers. It's just like, it's ridiculous, really. But people are waking up to it.
It's a debt economy. It's all based on debt and debt and credit, and people are waking up to it. And I don't see why, if like look at Canada for instance. It's the world's second largest country land-wise in the world, and there's only 36 million of us, or 40 million of us, that live in Canada, on the second biggest country in the world. And I don't see why, because we have print technology, why not every single person in the country does not have a house printed for them on this vast amount of land that we're sitting on, and remove that mortgage debt altogether to make sure that person has housing. Because once a person has housing, they don't have to worry about where they're going to lay their head. Suddenly they're going to become very productive. Right. And then all that money that they're not going to put into mortgage, all that money will go into something totally different, right? A revolutionary technology or whatever the case may be, right? So I don't see why this type of stuff isn't being implemented. Like even in the United States, like look at all the land the United States has. I think the US is the fourth largest country in the world, and it has 450 million people. And that's compared to the land that's in the United States, that's nothing, man. That's like that would be like 1 mile, or like 1 square mile of land for every single person in the United States. And I think Canada is something like 17 square miles of land if they were to allot it out for every single person in Canada. I couldn't imagine living on a plot of like 17 miles all the way around me. Pretty lonely. But the point is that we have the technology, so I don't see why that's not happening already.
Exactly.
Like we have greenhouse technology where we can build 40, 50, 60-story towers and turn them all into organic greenhouse facilities where it's a conveyor belt and it's just dropping out food in the basement, and you're collecting and sending it out to the market, and making people healthy. But again, it's that greed, man. It's that greed, brother, and that's where we're in that point now. And I think it's being crushed like the Berlin Wall back in when was that, 96 or 92?
I don't remember. Yeah, so it's happening and people are waking up to it, and just us having these conversations right now is really what's instrumental in it. That if we're talking about it, other people are talking about it, and the system isn't created for the betterment of us, right? We thought it was for some time, and many people thought that it was, but at this point, we've kind of created some stagnancy, and we're not progressing. Progress has become an illusion, and even that term has been hijacked by those who don't really want us to progress. You know. So, all right, so we're going to close up here, but I just want to show a couple of events that are happening on Portal to Ascension to everybody before we do that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up for you guys. So thank you, everybody, for joining in. This, again, is the Disclosure Agenda Show. Well, this is the weekly Portal to Ascension show every Tuesday. The Disclosure Agenda Show, which is what the theme is right now, is going to be ending this month. I think I have 1 or 2 more weeks left of the Disclosure Agenda Show. Then I go into Ancient Civilizations, which we're going to have many different guests on, and then also my own information, where we're going to be going into all types of information on our true world history. What is the true history of humanity? How do we dissect our timeline? And what is the difference between the conventionally accepted timeline and now what we're discovering? And how this connects to spirituality and consciousness, right? Which is what it's all about. So that's what we're going to be moving into towards the end of this month. And then after that, I've got this whole amazing series planned called Age of Empire series, which is going to be every Tuesday, where we're going to dissect an empire and then have a discussion about what the presentation is right afterwards. We're going to do the Kushan Empire. We're going to do Alexander the Great. We're going to do the Indus civilization. We're going to do the Tartarians. We're going to do the Maya, right? So a lot of ancient civilizations, and we're going to be going through all that. So it's going to be extremely exciting. If you're on the YouTube, please do click subscribe and join us to support us there. If you're on podcast, you can go to youtube.com/Portal2Ascension and sign up there. But just 2 events before we close up for today. 2 events that are coming up on Portal to Ascension. This one right here is coming up next week. It's called Sacred Sites and Ceremonies Online Conference. It's on Sunday, July 18th. If you're listening to this after July 18th, you can get the replay of this. This is our 2nd annual event. We have Freddie Silva, JJ Desiree Hertak, and many other people, Grandmother Flor de Mayo, Trisha McCannon, Mindahi Bastisa. And what this event is basically like a presentation, a sacred ceremony, a presentation, a sacred ceremony, about 6 to 7 hours of this awareness. And not only are we going to get a lot of information, but we're going to be implementing it with the ceremonies in between. Extremely amazing event. This is coming up just next Sunday. Yeah, and I'll give you the access info, bro, so you can come in and be a part of it as well. So if you're interested in this one, portaltoascension.org, go to online events, and you can check it out there. And then the other event I want to let you guys know about is the weekend after that is our first ever Hybrids online conference. And this will probably be an annual event as well. And it's a 2-day event, July 24th, July 25th. We have Daryl Anka a part of it, Mary Rodwell, Phil Gruber, D. Alan Steinfeld, Barbara Lamb, and Geraldine Orozco, and a few other people. And this is an exploration of what it is to be an extraterrestrial hybrid. And not only are we going to be talking about the hybridization program in regards to declassified government documents that show that they had some awareness of hybridized programs and may have actually been doing it themselves, and working with extraterrestrial races that have been attempting to hybridize the human DNA, but also individuals that claim to be hybrids, and researchers and hypnotherapists like Barbara Lamb, who have regressed people into the experiences where they've understood what it is to be a hybrid. So we're going to be going at this from every angle possible just to explore this topic. If you want to join this, go to portaltoascension.org, online events, check it out there. And you can also just go to portaltoascension.org and just sign up. Sign up on our website. You get a username and password, and the username and password will give you immediate access to our website, where you have 3,000 hours of presentations available to you on every topic under the sun that I've had the opportunity to think about over the last 12 years. So there's a lot of amazing content there for you. So do check it out. And, hope to see you guys there and be part of this community, because we got a lot of amazing things in store. All right, bro. So we're gonna close out for today. I'm gonna leave it to you. Just why don't you tell us one more time, just a plug for your event, date, time, how many people, and then just leave us with a few words before we end for today.
August 5th to the 10th, total disclosure, Watchers Talk, Full Spectrum Universe, Portal to Ascension, 55 speakers, 5 days. August 5th to the 10th, 12 hours a day. We'll be streaming on Facebook, YouTube, portaltoascension.org, New Realities, and Full Spectrum Universe, along with Watchers Talk. And I'm really looking forward to the Empires episodes that are coming up. And my contribution to that is I'm going to look into the Aboriginal and the First Nations people of Canada and the United States. And I'm going to gather some information about them and their empire that they had here, and hopefully share some interesting images and some mythologies and creation stories and such of the original people of North America.
Can't wait. And Omar and I, well, most people I know and that I'm into all this information with really love history and looking at the timeline. But I would say Omar and I have a thirst for history beyond most people that I even know. So we have such amazing discussions together about it. And the discussion we had at the Portal to Ascension conference 2 months ago, where it's just you and me, and then we're pulling up random images on Google in order to create the story of the timeline that we're doing. That was probably one of the best conversations, and we had such great feedback from it. So you're going to probably be on majority, if not almost all of those shows that we do, the Ancient Civilizations. And not only can you share your information, but the ones that you're listening to, you'll be part of the discussion afterwards, so we can get your perspective on things.
Yeah, I'm going to put together a extensive one. Probably 5 or 6 different presentations, and
Nice.
And then contribute that into the overall pool. Yeah, for sure. History. When it comes to history, like I've always said, I want to know where I came from, and the only way to do that is to research and read and investigate, and that's what we love to do. And do what you love and love what you do, man.
Yes. All right. Just a few. We're closing out now, everybody. Just again, please subscribe, and please do go to Portal to Ascension Radio on any platform: iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, blah blah blah, and sign up there. But just a few shout outs to some people in the room here. Thank you, One Love, for your interaction in the room. I'm looking forward to your email. Also, Earthworth, thank you so much for joining in and being a part of so many of these live streams. Divine Energy, you as well, and you sent a donation yesterday, so I appreciate you. Casey May, thank you. You've been at a lot of them as well. So I just want to say that I appreciate everybody that has been showing up and being a part of these events and supporting the content that we're putting out there. We have a lot more in store for you. If you have any feedback at any point on what you want to see more of, send it to us, because we're not just trying to create stuff and show it to you. We want to know what everybody else wants to talk about, and then start talking about those things so that we can really curate these topics to be something that we all need and we can all benefit from. So I just want to say one more time, thank you all so much. Love you all. This is Neil with Portal to Ascension, and I'm joined here with my host, Omar from Watchers Talk TV. You can check out Omar on his website, or you can go to his YouTube, which is Watchers Talk TV. If you put that in YouTube, you'll find that. And Omar, what's your website if people want to check that out?
It's a projectionofyou.com.
All right, there we go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Love you all. Thank you, Omar. We'll be in touch. Talk to you soon, bro.
Say bye. Love you. Have a good day.